Greetings. Hello. It has been more than a month. I come back. My goodness, I have to begin by shouting out Spots Worldwide 71. It is comments like these that fish me out of whatever rabbit hole I happen to have disappeared into, when I have my lapses in recording. Because sometimes, a girl just runs out of steam. I run out of steam. There's no water in my gas tank. Or gas, whatever's meant to go in there. Anyway, so whenever I see comments like these, and actually even like whenever, I think I did say this in a post, that even when I just see, a new subscriber, I'm like, oh my gosh, people find value in this stuff. Anyway, so this comment in particular was just so encouraging, so uplifting, and I was like, I must record a video right away. So I'm back. And typically, once I start a series, I'm usually driven to at least finish both sets of papers for that period. So in this case, I'm starting a series for the Department of Education's May 2022 papers. So at the very least, you're going to get paper 1 and paper 2 out of me, and then hopefully I'll have enough fire to do the IEB 20s as well for that period. And then that would actually be the end for 2022. And then I would have to go back to, well, I'm trying to get the 2024 DBE May papers. Just mixing words around. Currently, they can only be gotten if you log in. I'm like, how do I log in? Where do I find the login? What is the login? Anyway, a long ramble all to say thank you so much, Sports Worldwide 71, for this uplifting message. I know that my videos are not perfect, but I appreciate that in their imperfectness, they are still finding a spot. They are still being useful to somebody out there, and therefore I will continue to make them. Yeah, and then I please spread the word. Like if you do feel like this is something that's useful, and this is not just to Sports Worldwide 71, like to anyone that listens, please spread the word. I see that most of the people who watch my videos are typically watching the IEB ones, so that makes me suspect that it's the mostly then the private school kids who are watching these videos. And of course that's like what percentage of South Africa? 2%. I don't know where I got that number. It can't be 2%. But it's a small percentage, right? And we want to help as many people out there as possible. So please help me get the word out. I know I'm not doing much to get the word out, so I feel like a hypocrite. Yeah, maybe let me just end that there. Anyway, so like I introduced, it says IEB up here, but it's a lie. I haven't renamed the file. We are looking at the Department of Education's May 2022 paper 1. That is what we're going to focus on for the next few videos. So today we're looking at question 1.2. Let's go. Given that a plus 64 over a is equal to 16. The first part of the question asks us to solve for a. Okay, so this is an equation where we have an unknown in the denominator. So there is then kind of a restriction that, a can't be 0. Yeah, if any of the solutions turn out to be 0, yeah, it's not a solution, so ignore it. Right, so how we can solve an equation where there is an unknown in the denominator is we can try to get both sides to be over the same denominator so that we can just ignore the denominator and only look at the numerators, right? It's the idea that if b over x is equal to c over x, then, unless x is equal to 0, which we don't want, then these two must be equal. That's what I mean when I say we can just ignore the denominators, right? So that's the principle we're going to use. One of the principles we can use. Righty doos. So we have a plus 64 over a is equal to 16. And in order to get them over a common denominator, I'm going to start by just flagging to myself that a is the same as a over 1 and 16 is the same as 16 over 1. So the lowest So what happens when I don't record for a long time? Like my sense of speech starts disintegrating. Anyway, is speech a sense? It's not a sense. Lowest common denominator is a. Okay, so that means that we're gonna need 2 times top and bottom with a over here and likewise here. So we end up with a squared plus 64 over a is equal to 16a over a. So now we can just look at the toppity tops, right? Because the denominators are the same, it must mean the numerators are the same. So this is a nice quadratic equation, meaning, you know, we just get everything on one side. You can use the quadratic formula. Is this factorizable? It looks like it is. 8 times 8 gives me 64. Minus 8 will give me the minus 16. So this factorizes as a minus 8 times a minus 8. Okay, so essentially then a is equal to 8, right? And it doesn't mess with our restrictions, so this is a valid solution. Let's just do a quick sanity check. 8 plus 64 over 8 is equal to 16. Yes, that is true. 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. So that looks good. On to the next part of the question. Given, okay, well, this is the same as what we had before. So the next part of the question says, hence, and then following on from what we got in the previous question, solve for x. We have 2 to the x plus 2 to the 6 minus x is equal to 16. So I mean, you kind of then start to look for similarities between this equation and this equation, right? How are they connected? So the right hand side is exactly the same. The left hand side also has 2 terms. We have 2 to the x, which might be the same as a. And then you have 2 to the 6 minus x, right? Which might be the same as this term, we don't know, maybe. It kind of looks like yes, because I have told you, or maybe you haven't watched the video where I've told you, so I'm going to tell you again. Very useful to know powers. Very useful to know, I would say for 2, know up to 2 to the power of 10, you know, so 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, right? It's useful to know those things because then you can quickly see that, oh, 64 is 2 to the 6. So there's a fish in the water, right? Anyway, so we can rewrite this to say 2 to the 6, and this would be the same as 2 to the 6 over 2 to the x, right? Because if you had to write this using the division law, it would be 2 to the 6 minus x. This is what we have there, right? And this over here is the same as the right hand side of our original equation, so no need to do anything fancy. And now we can see very clearly that this equation is the same as this one, right? Well, let me make it a bit clearer. 2 to the 6 is the same as 64, right? So now we can see clearly that this equation is the same as this guy, right? Where a is 2 to the x. So you have 2 to the x plus 64 over is equal to 16. So in the previous question, we found that the solution over here is that a is equal to 8, right? So a is equal to 8 solves this equation. So in order for this equation to work as well, what we need is, well, what we recognize is that a is equal to 2 to the x is equal to 8. And so which x will make this true? We know that 8 is the same as 2 to the 3, so x is equal to 3. If you don't know your powers of 2, first of oil, please know them. But if you don't know them, how would you solve this equation? You could use logs, right? So you could say that, you could rewrite this equation and say log, well, oops. You could say x is equal to log base 2 of 8. Okay, so to which power should I raise 2 in order to get 8, right? That will give you the value of x. You can put that into your calculator and you should get 3. Another way that you could solve it is you could use prime factorization. So with your exponential equations, that's usually a good route to go, is to get both sides into their prime factors, and then typically you can see what the exponent needs to be. So if you try to prime factorize 8, okay, you can do that on your calculator if you please, if you so please. So you'd say 8, you put that into the calculator's memory, and then now I need to find the little button. I think it's this one. Yes. Okay, so that tells you that 8 is the same as 2 to the 3, right? So now you can conclude that same base, exponents must be the same. Anyway, so that is that on that, kids. Let's see what the memo has to say. Yes and yes. We are on the same page. Wonderful. Thank you for tuning in, and see you soon with another video.